Hello everyone, I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing my book, I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. Available in ebook or paperback form, and all proceeds from the sale always go to charity. So I wanted to talk to you guys about how I afforded this fixer-upper house and paid for it in cash. So, you know, you hear a lot on this channel. I talk a lot about 2 or 3 years of hard work and saving your money and making all the right decisions with your finances. You can set yourself up for life. If you are 18 years old and you say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to spend a penny more than I need to. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to work 2 full-time jobs. I'm going to save all of my money and pay for a house in cash. And then people say that's not realistic. And then I say, okay, if you're an adult and you don't have any family to rely on and you need to get back on your feet, live in a minivan for 2 or 3 years and save up all of your money, work 2 full-time jobs, and you will be able to pay for a house in cash. And people also say that's not realistic. You're out of touch. Get off your high horse. Your ego is too involved in this. And I proved it. I mean, I literally proved it. So in 2020, I moved into my house in Arizona. It was a $67,000 house that I paid for in cash, and it was a fixer-upper. It's now worth like $160,000. I mean, there were some really big price jumps during the whole lockdown, but when the lockdown happened, as a YouTuber, our revenue is not, for me, I consider myself a small YouTuber. I make, before taxes, about $2,000 a month on a good month. After taxes, it comes out to about $1,450 a month. So it's not like a huge, wonderful, glamorous lifestyle. So that's why a lot of people have to branch off and they do other things as well. But during the lockdown in 2020 and 2021, there was this huge increase in revenue. You saw all these money-saving channels where people were building new buildings and buying new vehicles, even used vehicles, whatever, buying new clothes, doing more shopping videos, grocery hauls, food shortage videos where they would stock up on stuff. And if you notice through my videos, I never change. I didn't do all of these haul videos or buy different cars and stuff like that. And I knew that when I moved into my Arizona house, it was going to be temporary. That was going to be a rental, but I had no money. When I say I have no money, I am a millionaire. I live on a budget. The majority of my money is in bonds and stocks and bonds. So I buy assets. I don't buy liabilities, but we are all guilty of buying things we don't need. We are all guilty of spending our money recklessly, whether we think that we're making a good financial decision or not. So I knew that during 2020 and 2021 was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Everybody was at home watching YouTube. Our revenue doubled, it tripled in some cases. I had some of these amazing months. But a lot of people would have gotten up to that level and said, well, this is the way it's going to be forever. You know, I can start spending my money this way and that way and stuff like that. But I saw what was coming. I knew that this was only temporary. The stock market was skyrocketing. People were making all these videos about Bitcoin and Tesla and these amazing stocks where you can just make $1 bazillion overnight. And I have always been with my investments, slow and steady wins the race. I have always been for long-term growth, and now that I'm in my 40s, I concentrate on dividend investments. But I don't change my investments based on the economy. It's just been a slow and steady race since I was a teenager. But I knew that during this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm making tons of money. And instead of a 5-year plan, I'm going to turn this into a 2-year plan to purchase another home back in California so I can be close to my family. And I always had in the back of my mind, this might not work out, so I might be stuck here. It wasn't really a stuck here. I actually enjoyed where I lived very much. I loved all my neighbors. I lived in a great community, wonderful place. In fact, I would have no problem really going back there if it weren't for my family being so much closer where I live now. But given this once in a lifetime opportunity, I made every correct financial decision I knew how to make based on the best of my ability. And I'm going to go over a few of those things. For starters, about 2 or 3 months in, I didn't keep track. I got a job. I got a job at a nursery, turned it into full-time, and made $30,000 a year. I did it for a year and a half, so it's about $45,000. And I went on this minimalism thing. I was so sick. I had a 3-bed, 2-bath house that was 1,500 square feet that I had to condense into a 900 square foot house. And my old house had a 2-car garage. This new house had no garage. So I had to cram it 1,500 square feet worth into 900 square feet. So I had to start making some decisions. So I started selling my furniture. And that freed up a lot of space because I don't like clutter. I don't like feeling confined. A lot of people like that. I don't. I like hearing an echo in my house almost. So I started getting rid of things. And then I started looking at the things that I had and realized I have a lot of really high value things that I can get rid of. So I had the job for a year and a half making $45,000. My YouTube revenue had skyrocketed. I sold all of my gold. Now these are just roundabout numbers. I don't know the exact numbers because I didn't write them down, but I'm just, estimating. I sold all of my gold for $20,000. That is a lot, 10 gold pieces. I have 10 that I had accumulated over the years that had done me no good other than sitting in a drawer somewhere. Not really a drawer, but you know what I mean. It was just sitting around and it was doing nothing for me. So I sold it and I made $20,000. I sold my extra car. So I had 2 cars. I'm one person. And to be honest with you, I walk so much that having 2 cars was kind of ridiculous. What I had done is I'd purchased a 2015 Corolla thinking it was my dream car, and I got my dream car and I didn't like it anymore. I liked my 98 Camry better, so I went out and got the exact same car, a 98 Camry, because I loved the car. It had low mileage, awesome. It still has less than 85,000 miles on it. So I went out and bought that super cheap, and then because car prices were so high, I sold my Corolla for more than I paid for it. So there was about $15,000 right there. My firearms, my guns. Now, being a prepper, I listened to a lot of gun enthusiasts out there telling me I needed this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun. And I had an accumulation of like 15 guns without the time to go to the range. I had no use for them. And to be honest with you, the majority of them, I didn't even like them. So I sold all but 3. I sold 12 of my guns, and I made about $8,000. And I sold all the ammo that went with the guns too. I made about $8,000 doing that. And I spent more on the guns than I made selling them. Guns don't appreciate in value, no matter what any prepper tells you. And all of these companies were reaching out to me to do solar review products. Well, that's great, but I had accumulated so many solar generators I could no longer walk in my storage room, my laundry room. My laundry room was kind of like detached from the house, and it was a 12 by 10. I literally couldn't walk in it to get to the washer and dryer anymore, so I sold all my extra generators. I still have a couple on hand just in case of emergency. If the power goes out, I'm still okay. But I sold all my extra ones, all the ones that I didn't need. I did that on Facebook Marketplace, eBay. I think Craigslist, I only like one, but Craigslist wasn't really, it just doesn't, nobody shows up. They're fickle. So I sold all my generators and I made about $18,000. And then I sold other stuff. Again, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, for about $4,000. That's just like small furniture items and clothing, some jewelry, stuff like that. And all in all, that made me, in 1 year, $110,000. That does not include you know, my YouTube, Patreon. I have book sales, but I don't include them as my income because that goes to charity. Anything from Amazon goes to charity. So book sales and Amazon affiliates, but there's that. And then I also learned something along the way. I don't want to get into that. So that earned me $110,000. And then I was still able to do my consistent monthly investing. And I was still able to live on my $1,000 a month or less. And I was able to save up enough for this house. And I was actually still saving, and I had expected to purchase a higher dollar house, but this one popped up. It was my realtor, it never went on the market. My realtor called me and said, hey, I've got one. You said you wanted a fixer-upper, and it's in, you know, I had like a 50-mile range of where I wanted to go. And he said, it's in your range. It's through my boss's son's uncle or something like that. Came in here, took me on a video tour. And I said, yeah, man, let's do it. So that happened a lot sooner than I expected, but it happened. And it was a much lower price than I had even anticipated. So it's livable, but it's a fixer-upper. So, you know, right now my kitchen is like practically gutted, but I can still use my living room. All the bedrooms are done. The dining area is done. So at least if I have company, I can have them focus on this dining room. But doing all of these things, and now, you know, now I'm a landlord. I am a real estate investor and a stock market dividend investor. I mean, and an entrepreneur and everything else. So I'm just not as flashy as the other two YouTubers. I'm not Graham Stephan, you know. I'm not Minority Mindset, who I love, by the way. Minority Mindset is awesome. I really dig that guy. But making all of these decisions in a 2-year time period where the majority of people were sitting at home collecting their stimulus checks because they were making more in their stimulus than they were at their job, than they would be working. But at the same time, I did everything exactly the opposite. While everybody was not willing to work, I just went out and I just applied for a job, and I started in 3 days. You know, I went through the interview process. They were so desperate for people, went in through the interview process, blah, 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 blah. You start Monday, like, wait, it's only 3 days away. So, you know, and then I made every, like, financial, I didn't even spend any money on food. I went through my stockpile supply knowing full well that I was going to be moving and didn't want to bring it with me in the truck because you have to pay for a bigger truck. It's like $1,000 difference. So, I mean, I was spending no money on, hardly any money on food. You know, I was keeping my bills as low as possible. I was spending a lot of time with my dog. Now I have dogs, plural. All of my entertainment was free, and it still is. All of my favorite things to do cost no money. And it took me a little over 2 years to do that. And so I sort of proved to myself, and I wanted to prove to my subscribers that yes, if you make consistent changes and you are debt-free and you stay debt-free and you save and you work 2 jobs, you work 3 jobs if you have to, just for 2 or 3 years, you can buy a house in cash. That's the way that it works. I never touched any of my investments. Any windfall I've ever received in my lifetime went straight to investments, and that's going to charity, my nieces and my nephews. I'm not even touching that. I want to earn my own way, and that is what I have done. So now I'm sitting here on my high horse with my big giant ego because I proved to myself and I proved to my audience that yes, it can be done if you are debt-free and you make all of the right choices. And if you live rent-free, whether you do that by taking it from your family. If you don't have family, you live in your car for 2 to 3 years, and the payoff is amazing. You have a completely paid for home, completely paid for. So my minimalism and my good choices and my hard work over a 2-year period helped me to accomplish this. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. I have my lazy moments. I have my stupid moments. I make bad purchases sometimes. Not as often as most people, but sometimes. But if you are debt-free and you just work really hard for 2 or 3 years and make every good financial decision you can do it too. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. Nala. Oh, hi. Hi there. Did you get your brother? Ah! That tickled. Oh, get your brother. Oh. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. No, go get him. Go get him. Go get him.